Good morning. Welcome to our daily devotion. It is Thursday, January 14th. Can you believe this month is almost half over already? I want to thank those of you that continue to watch these daily devotions. God will honor that and bless you as a result. We reward you. That's what we're going to be talking about today. We talked about yesterday even, that He rewards us. So I want to thank those also that share them, because that's how the word gets out to more and more people. So I appreciate those of you that take the time to push that share button. Morning, Roz. Thanks for everything you're doing. The girls here just think you're an awesome woman. Morning, Mary. Hope you had fun on your little mini vacation. Got some nice weather here today now. We're going to be in the 80s, so I'm wearing short sleeve shirts now again. We're in Matthew chapter 6. I'm going to read verses 5 through 7. Jesus, this is his first big message, is a Sermon on the Mount. It says, when you pray, do not be like the hypocrites, for they love to pray standing in the synagogues and on the street corners to be seen by people. I tell you the truth, they have received their reward in full. But when you pray, go into your room, close the door, and pray to your Father who is unseen. Then your Father who sees what is done in secret will reward you. And when you pray, do not keep on babbling like pagans, for they think they will be heard because of their many words. So God is telling us here again now. Good morning, Sammy. Good morning, Gloria. God is telling us that we will be rewarded just for praying. When you pray, go in your room where you don't see God, but God sees you. Nobody else sees you praying, but God sees you and will reward you for your prayers. Welcome back, Penny. You're watching it from the other room. So we know that Jesus prayed. Jesus prayed many times. And think of this now. Jesus is literally God in the flesh, and yet here he is praying. So if Jesus prayed, we certainly should also. Good morning, Veronica. But what about these rewards of praying? Let's look at that. In Matthew 21:22, Jesus, this is Jesus again now speaking. And he says this, if you believe, you will receive whatever you ask for in prayer. Jesus is telling his disciples here now. He's speaking to the disciples. He's not speaking to the crowds. He's speaking to the disciples because he knows that he's going to take the disciples and he's going to send them. They're going to be his missionaries. They're going to be his apostles. They're going to be his disciples. And so he's given them special powers. And he's telling them that you will receive whatever you ask for. Now, he says if you believe and have faith, if you believe, you will receive whatever you ask for in prayer. Now, all prayers take faith. First of all, you have to believe that God listens to you, that he hears you, that you're not just talking to yourself. You have to have faith that God would answer your prayers. And I tell the people all the time, the young people especially, I say, God answers every one of your prayers. I hear people so many times say, well, I don't know why I pray. God never answers my prayers. Yes, he promises that he'll answer every one of our prayers. His answers are yes, no, and wait. So if you don't get what you're asking for, it's because God is saying no. And he has his reasons. You have to have faith that you will receive according to his will, his perfect will. Listen to Hebrews 11:6. It tells us that list all the great men and women of the past that had great faith. He says, without faith, it is impossible to please God, because anyone who comes to him must believe that he exists and that he rewards those who earnestly seek him. That he rewards those who earnestly seek him. Now, he gives a whole bunch of examples here in chapter 11. I'm just going to give the one here. Remember Abraham and Sarah? They were old and they couldn't have a child, and God promised them that they would receive a child, and that he'd be the father of many in the nation, in the Israel nation, and so Abraham believed, And as a result, God gave them a child, Isaac. And now listen to this. By faith, Abraham, when God tested him, offered Isaac as a sacrifice. He who had received the promises was about to sacrifice his one and only son. If you remember the story, God tells Abraham to test his faith. God tells Abraham, I want you to sacrifice your son. Now, sacrifice was like where they made animal sacrifices, where they would kill the animal and put it on fire on an altar. So here's Abraham ready to sacrifice his son because God had told him. Now, how much faith does that take? Verse 11, even though God had said to him, it is through Isaac that your offspring will be reckoned. Abraham reasoned that God would raise the dead, and figuratively speaking, he did receive Isaac back from the dead. Abraham had faith enough to believe that, well, he wants me to sacrifice my son. He must be going to raise him from the dead. Had incredible faith. Incredible faith. In James 4:2, it says this, you do not have because you do not ask God. You will never receive anything if you never ask God. But, he goes on to say, but when you ask, you do not receive because you ask with wrong motives, that you may spend what you get on your pleasures. You're asking for the wrong motives. You're always asking about yourself. So think about your prayers. Just think recently about your prayers recently. What were they about? Were they about you, or were they about others? Were you asking God for things for yourself, or were you concerned about other people? Because God is saying here that you don't receive because you ask with the wrong motives. We're asking for the wrong things. We're asking for the wrong reasons. We're being selfish. So what are your prayers like? And in 5:13 it says this, is any of you in trouble? You should pray. Is anyone happy? Then let him sing songs of praise. Is any of you sick? You should call the elders of the church to pray over him, anoint them with oil in the name of the Lord, and the prayer offered in faith will make the sick person well. And then listen to this. The prayers of a righteous man and woman are powerful and effective. The prayers of a righteous man and woman are powerful and effective. So if I were in serious trouble, or if I had a really serious illness and I was looking for prayer, would I just go to anybody for prayer, or would I look for the people that had strong faith? You would want people that had strong faith praying for you, because God says the prayers of a righteous man or woman are powerful and effective. I've shared this with you many times. I believe some of the people that have the strongest faith are our children, our young children. I'll be honest with you, if I came home from the doctor and the doctor said that I had a serious, very serious illness, I would ask the young children, and especially in our church, to pray for me. I would ask my grandchildren to pray for me. They don't have the doubt that many adults have. You can say it's blind faith, whatever you want to call it, but they have faith, and God honors that faith. But here's the key to the whole thing. Here's the key to all prayer, and this is the part that you have to understand. First, let me set the precedence. When you're reading in the scriptures about where Jesus says, "Ask whatever you ask for, and you shall receive," you have to find out who his audience is. Because if he's just talking to the disciples, that has a total different meaning than when he's talking to the crowds. But here he's talking to the crowds here in Matthew. He was talking to the crowd. There was the Sermon on the Mount. So he was talking to the crowds there. But many times he was talking to his disciples, and he would tell them, ask whatever you ask for, you will receive, because he had special assignments for them. But here he's telling us in Matthew today in Sermon on the Mount that we will be rewarded for our prayers. But Here's the key to it all over here in 1 John 5:14 and 15. It says this, "This is the confidence we have in approaching God, that if we ask anything according to his will, he hears us. And we know that if he hears us, whatever we ask, we know that we have what we asked of him." Have confidence when you're praying that you will receive what you ask for according to God's will. It's no different than when your children ask it. If you have young children and they ask you for something, you're listening to them, you hear them, but you're only going to give it to them if you realize that it's good for them. So if you're getting ready to eat dinner and your child asks you for a bowl of ice cream, are you going to give it to them? They want it. You have it. But according to your will, you know that it's not good for them at that time because they haven't eaten yet. So your answer would be, wait. Wait till after you eat dinner. So God is promising us that he's hearing every one of our prayers and that he's answering them, but he's answering them according to his will, and you have to realize according to his perfect will. Finally, in Matthew chapter 7, I'm going to just read verses 7 through 11. We'll cover this later. It says, again, on the Sermon on the Mount. Good morning, Donovan. Good morning, Veronica. Good morning, Paul. Good morning, John. Jesus says, "Ask and it will be given to you. Seek and you will find. Knock and the door will be opened to you. For anyone who asks, receive. Those who seek, find. And to those who knock, the door will be opened." So which of you, if your son asks for bread, would give him a stone? Question mark. Or if he asks for a fish, would give him a snake? Question mark. If you then, though you are evil, know how to give good things to your children, how much more will your Father in heaven give good things to those who ask him? So in everything, do to others that you would want them to do to you. Jesus promises to reward us, that we will be rewarded for our prayers. So keep on praying. Keep on praying. Regardless of what you're asking for, keep on praying, because it's no different than a child that asks you for something and you say no, and they come back later to ask you again, and they come back later. If they stop asking, you will never give it to them. But if they keep asking, there'll come a point where you realize, okay, now it's okay now to give it to them. So God knows what's best for you, okay? He will reward your prayers according to his will. Have a great day. Tonight is our Bible study at 7 o'clock. Hope that you can join us. Otherwise, I will see many of you tomorrow morning for our regular daily devotion. If I ask that you would share this so we can get this message out to more and more people. God bless you and have a great day.